problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning, when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes!
1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30-ish, whatever. So I came downstairs, and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still.
Now for what's trending in true crime. Sarah Boone has a brand new attorney. Her defense attorney has added co-counsel ahead of her upcoming trial. James Owens, who now represents Boone in her murder trial, is going to have some help. A notice of appearance says co-counsel was filed Tuesday for Tony Henderson, who will now serve as second chair in the case. This is him. He's a graduate of the Florida State College of Law. He's got over 25 years of experience practicing criminal law, trying over 250 jury trials. Our question this morning: is the new addition to the team going to help or hurt Boone's case? Let's bring in our guests: criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno, and trial attorney and former prosecutor Randolph Rice. Okay, let's talk about this. We've got a new addition really at the 11th hour, because trial is about to start in a couple of weeks. Randolph Rice, do you think this is going to help the team?
Oh boy, this just, I mean, I can't tell you, and I'm sure David's had the same problem and issue in the past of dealing with clients like this who just are so difficult. And I bless Mr. Henderson for joining this team, because this is a tough road to row. I mean, when you go through 8 attorneys and you're on your 9th one, it clearly is not the attorneys that's the problem. It seems to be the client that may be the problem. I commend him. He is brave for taking this on. Will it help? I don't know. The problem is he's only got a couple of weeks to prepare for this trial. Doesn't sound like the court's going to delay this any longer, which has been a tactic that she has been using, it seems like, to delay this, is just keep firing and hiring new lawyers to push this trial out farther and farther. So God bless him. He's got a long road here in front of him, and I hope he doesn't become, number 9 or 10 that goes away. So.
Oh, I know, Randolph. Yeah, keeping track. Yeah, she's on. So I guess he makes 10. I guess if we're counting. Oh my gosh. And so now here we are. And David Bruno, what are your thoughts? In addition, I'm sure you agree with what Randolph said. Mr. Henderson deserves a medal for joining this team. Is he going to help things out?
Oh, genius idea to have 2. Why? Because obviously we've seen all of the problems with the prior 8, right? As 9 comes in, it's better to have 2 attorneys because of the communication, right? Because there's probably problems communicating to the client. And if you bring a second attorney in, well, they could both explain and help. And 2 heads are better than 1. So especially in a situation like this, with all of the prior counsel, I think it's a good idea to have 2 attorneys. At the Bianchi Law Group here, we have 7, and we work on our cases together. Oftentimes, when we need to jump in and help and communicate with more than 1 attorney, it helps explain and for them to understand things. So I think it's genius, especially in light of the history.
Exactly. David, thank you for that. So here's what else is going on with Sarah Boone and her defense team. We know with attorney number 9 and now number 10 too, they are trying to present at trial a defense, an affirmative defense essentially, of battered spouse syndrome, which falls in line with self-defense. And so we know that they filed a notice of intent to do so last week. We heard a little bit about it at the last court hearing. And now we're getting a response from the state of Florida asking the judge to strike that notice, saying that defense is entirely inappropriate. One reason being that Sarah Boone previously said it was an accident, that she left Jorge Torres in the suitcase by accident. And the prosecution said, well, the defense then can't be claimed of battered spouse syndrome if this was accidental. For more on the very turbulent relationship between Jorge Torres and Sarah Boone, here's Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft.
Nonetheless, I have to live without him now.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Yeah.
Punishment in itself.
George Torres's death in 2020 was not the first time police had been at the home he shared with his girlfriend, Sarah Boone. Boone and Torres began dating in March of 2016. They moved in together 4 months later, and the relationship was volatile.
I should probably not be together, but that's not my business. Yes, ma'am.
While police interrogated Boone about Torres's death, they questioned her about the violence in their relationship.
So every time that you guys fight, you both hit each other? So you should have probably gone to jail all those times that he went to jail for domestic?
Well, the one time I did. At one point, I started documenting everything.
Okay.
So you all will see in my pictures, bloody fingers, split foreheads, he split my nose.
In July of 2018, police were called to the couple's home after a night out. Boone told the officers she had recently gone through a divorce, that Torres was going through a lot, and that he had beat her up that night.
He let loose on my ass tonight, and I'm not having it.
Okay. All right.
I got kicked in the face. I don't want him to get in trouble, but I'm tired of being beaten up.
Torres told the officers that she strangled him until he was having trouble breathing. He had red marks on his neck, and Boone's eye was bruised. She was arrested for aggravated battery by strangulation, and he was arrested for battery.
You're gonna probably stay in there for a day, maybe 2. All right, one more. Possibly. It's all up to the judge.
In 2019, Boone called the police to their home. She claimed Torres had beaten her up again and that he had told her, "You are going to die." Boone had a lump on her face and scratches on her neck. Torres also had scratches on his neck, but he denied hitting her. He was arrested for battery.
I had him arrested how many times?
But you also went down and bailed him
I know.
the next day.
Well, I know.
Torres was arrested for battery again a month later. Boone called the police on him, accusing him of punching her multiple times in the neck. Investigators did see marks on her neck. An officer asked Torres what happened. He said he gets hit all the time. And what is he supposed to do? A week later, even though there was a no-contact order, Torres and Boone were together. And again, a fight broke out.
I was asleep, and again, he comes in and wakes me up because he gets mad at me because I go to sleep. The whole time I'm being belittled. That's when I got punched in my ear.
On the phone, you told me that you attacked him as well.
I didn't attack him.
You said you exchanged, you had a physical altercation on the phone. That's what you told me.
I pulled him off of me.
He said he has marks because I was fighting for my life.
I was being honest with you.
Police found Torres hiding in the bathroom. He told them Boone hit him often. He was arrested again for battery. This case, like their other domestic violence incidents, was not prosecuted because neither of them would press charges. Less than 6 months later, Torres was dead.
I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was dead in the suitcase, so I don't know what happened.
Sarah Boone set to appear in court next week. So we're asking, if the judge allows her team to present this defense, is it going to work? Is battered spouse syndrome going to work at trial? Let's bring back in our guest legal analyst, David Bruno and Randolph Rice. Randolph, what do you think about this? Do you think they could be successful?
I think you make a great point at the open when you talked about that she admitted to doing this. This was an accident. This wasn't intentional. And the battered spousal, this battered syndrome that they talk about is something where you have a buildup of abuse that you ultimately act out on. So I don't think it's going to succeed. I think that the judge will deny it. I also think even if the judge does allow it in, the jurors are just not going to believe this. Certainly it was a tumultuous relationship. They certainly had a lot of incidents where they were both, it seems like both of them were beating on each other. And I just don't think a jury's going to be able to buy that.
Right. David Bruno, to you next, please. Your thoughts.
Yeah, this is going to require an expert. So they're going to need to find an independent expert to come in and look at that history to conclude that she is a battered woman under the syndrome. That's number one, because they have to show, and this history that you lay out with this relationship may actually get her to part one. However, part two is that syndrome caused her to believe that it was necessary. right then and there. And I think factually, that's where she's going to have the biggest problem with her prior statements and also the circumstances of how it went down. In a suitcase, again, another fiction novel that we could all be writing about this, but he's put in a suitcase and we have the video of the statements while he's dying.
Exactly. Great points. David Bruno, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure. I know we have to say goodbye to you, let you get off to court. Randolph Rice, we're going to see you in a little while. Stand by, please.